So the Cid and the Badgerita, we are at the first stop, the first overlook. What was it?
Tamichi Point?
Tamichi Point. And we are in Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Monument. And this is our first view of the Black Canyon of the Gunnison. Really pretty. And we're on a 14-mile one-way out and back rim drive. We're on the south rim, which is where the campsites are. And so this is our first stop outside of the campsites. We are at the South Rim Visitor Center for Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. And here is a map showing the location and the one-way out to the High Point ending. So we came in here, camping here, and we're going to do this drive and perhaps this hike this evening. Representation of the canyon. So I'm going to start the campground review with our campsite B16. So there's loops A, B, and C. A and B look like mixed tenting and trailers and RVs. C looks like it's mostly all tent sites. So it's basic electricity. There's, as you can see, a table, fire pit. Through the grass area is a tent site, and these small oak trees. This would be a reasonably good site, certainly for a tent. The problem with it from our point of view is, as you can see, it's a pull through on the left side of the road, which means our door faces out. So it's not an ideal situation, but it's okay. It wasn't particularly level. We were able to level side to side, but front to back left a lot to be desired. Things seem a bit overgrown in general. As you can kind of see the campsite, things just seem like they're growing and the wild is reclaiming the site itself. So I'm going to take a quick spin through the whole B, and I'll try and do A and C to show you, and maybe I'll speed the film up. I won't comment on each one, but I'm going to walk through and just give you a quick idea of what these sites look like. That's a back-end site. There's another pull-through B18, pull-through on the side, which makes it much more desirable than the site that we're in. Another back-end site here. You notice quite a few tents back in there as well. I think that's the back of A that we're seeing. A is right up the street from this loop. B21 a back in, B20 a back in. There's not a great deal of space in between sites, but it's sort of enough, I guess. Enough to make it not seem like you're completely on top of one another. Our impression was that B, the one that we're in, seems to have the most amount of room. I mean, C was really crowded. So there is, we're around the end of our loop. The road, the access road, is over to our right, and so A is up that direction. C is down that direction, and this is a one-way road leading into the campground area, and it dead ends, so it's not on the main road. So we're continuing on our loop. There's B1. That's a nice site with concrete all around it. There's more sites. There's B3, which is a back in. B4 is a pull through, and by pull through I basically mean side of the road pull throughs. There's B5. Looks like a tent in there, but certainly you could have a trailer. There are restrooms here in the middle of the loop, and we actually can access the restroom via a path that leads basically directly up through these bushes and trees. So our site is basically straight up that way, and as you will be able to see, there's no running water. Timer switch lights in the restroom, which is kind of nice. Hand sanitizer as well, and a heater, which I don't know when that activates, maybe more in the winter time, but yeah, pretty basic, but it works. On the B loop, there's B6. Again, sort of a pull through off the side. There's a back end through B7. B8 looks like they're tent camping with a couple of cars backed in, which would be perfect. Another back end site. That actually might be a complete pull through. I can't quite see. Yeah, it looks like it's the only one that actually pulls all the way through. Another back end, B8. You can see it's not a very large loop. There aren't that many campsites in here in total with all three loops, so it's kind of hard to get, but that's B11. This one looks like it's been under repair. That site may actually be a full pull through as well. Yeah, it looks like you can access all the way through. B12 is a back in. B14 back in. B13 back in. B15 back in. It seems to us too that on the top of the loop, this side of the loop, there just seems to be a bit more space. Maybe our imagination, but we're back to our camper and where we started. So I'll try and do A and C as well, so you get a feel for those loops. Each of the sites appear to have bare canisters or bare vault boxes as well. Well, even though they don't have water for your camper, they do have water to fill up your water bottle, which is pretty cool. And obviously they're restricting it to basically that, but that's great that they at least have that available. So here's the A loop with 34 sites, and that seems to be about right for B and C, but I'll check that. And we'll make a quick sort of run through this one so that you can see what this looks like. There's A1, which is sort of like a pull off or a tent site. A2 looks like mainly tent. A3 pull off site off the road. A4 looks like being used as a tent site, although you could park an RV up here. A6, another pull-off site. A7, back-in site. There's the restrooms for this loop. A8 looks to be a true pull-through. That's a pretty nice site, actually. A9, back-in. There's the exit for A8, so one of the true pull-throughs. Same thing for A10. Looks like a great little pull-through. So that would be a great site. A11, another pull-through. A12 is a back-in. A13 looks to be a back-in. Looks like A15 is kind of a pull-off site. Hello.
Hello.
Used as a tent site there. A16 back-in. Here we have, similar to our site where we're actually camped in B, where the pull-off is to the left, so your door is facing out. A18, a back-in. 19, a back-in. Not much back there, though, as far as vegetation. I'd avoid that one. A22, a back-in. No, it's a pull-through, actually. A24, back in. There's the pull-through, so that's a pretty nice site right there. There's another great pull-through here, A25. Some of the vegetation is sort of gone in that one. Here's a nice pull-through. Lots of space in this one. 26 maybe. There's 27, which is a pull-off. Again, that's a nice site back with the pull-through. A28. That looks like a walk-in site for camping. You could park here, but yeah. There's a tent site. 31 is a absolute pull-through, which is nice. 30 backs in. 32 backs in, but it looks like it's got something going on. And here is the campground host in the final one, A33. And we did not have a campground host in our site. There's A34, which is a back-end site. And this must be a pull-through or back in from the other side. Anyway, this campground host must take care of all three campsites. And yes, this was a pull-through. Must be 32. So above A is where all the trash cans are. So A, and then B, and then C. So you've got to walk a fair distance or take the trash out on your way out of the loops, the campground loops itself. We'll make a quick little detour here and take a look and see what the amphitheater looks like. Well, the birds are out, and you walk down a short paved trail and you get to the amphitheater. Nice little amphitheater with a, I guess, kind of a stage up at that end. So the B loop only has 23 sites, so it's a little bit smaller than the A loop. And we're continuing on down the hill to the end of this road and the C loop. Looks like, again, it's 32 sites, so a little bit bigger. And just at the end of this road and where C loop starts is the Rimrock Nature Trail, which we intend to do tomorrow. And the nature trail, the visitor center is about a mile, so you know, a mile out and a mile back walking the rim, so look forward to that. So we're coming into C loop, and we drove this morning, or this afternoon when we got back, and it just felt more crowded than the other two loops. Here's C1, which is again these pull-out loops, pull-out parking. C2 is closed off for some reason. Here's C3, which is a back in, and you can see there's little trailers in here, but you're not going to see very many bigger trailers. Mostly tents. There's C5. Again, I don't know why that one's blocked off. This is a pull-through, so that's a nice one. There's the restrooms, which are always sort of right in the center of the loop. C6, which is kind of a pull off. Again, you could put a small RV there. Opposite side, you can kind of just see things are narrow here, get pretty tight. So I think they've squeezed in 32 sites where our loop is like 26, but mostly tents. And you know, it works for tenting. Pull your car off and then walk in and set your tent up. So yeah, I think if you were tenting, this would be the loop that you would want. C13 appears to be, again, just pull off to the side. 14, continuing on. Well, again, most all tents. Nice wooded trees, though. Hello, how are you?
Doing well, yourself?
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Watching the sunset?
Hi. Doing what we can.
Coming around the loop. There's a trailer just like ours, pulled off on the right side, so at least their door opens to the right. Tenting. It just seems narrower and more crowded, but this is not a bad campground. It's just not as secluded as some, and everybody's sort of out. The sun is starting to set over there, trying to catch that, and we've almost got a full moon. I think a couple nights from now it should be full. It's finally cooled off up here. It was near 80, which is pretty hot, but now the temperature is like perfect. Finishing the loop, 26. You see all the bare boxes in each site. One thing you need to look at is I don't see electrical boxes on in this loop. So it's possible these are all non-electric sites. I don't see any electric. So that may be the one drawback if you have a small trailer and you really want at least electric. I don't see any of that here. This is a nice pull-through site. And we are at the end of the loop. There's the pricing. 34 regular, Golden Age Access 17, which is a great deal.